Mark, why don't you take us through what happens in this issue?
All right, the Baxter Building, 1 year ago. Maybe. Well, past midnight, at least. Or well past midnight. You know, punctuation matters, right? Anyway, Ben Grimm is getting a stack. He calls himself a genius, but he just pulls a fully made hero out of the fridge. And I gotta think, unless Reed has invented some kind of polymer that prevents bread from getting stale while it's sitting in the fridge for hours on end, how smart could Ben actually be here? Plus, he's already got tomato on this pre-made hero. It's like sliced thin, like it's gonna be making the bread soggy. It's soggy tomato bread, and that's stale. That's been in the fridge for a couple of hours. This scene is really upsetting me, Dan, and I just don't get.
Calm yourself. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Right.
He's the thing. He's made of rocks. How great could his taste buds be?
I guess so, but he says he's a genius. Anyway, Ben hears some racket, and it's Reed and Sue looking so lovely. Superhero marriages, am I right? But wait, the racket can't be from them because they just got in. It's Spider-Man stealing the mini fusion reactor, Natch. Reed wants to know, why didn't he just ask? So Peter does, and Reed says, well, it's dangerous. And somehow, somewhere, someone is still criticizing this arc because all Spider-Man is supposed to do is ask his friends for help. Anyway, Johnny flames on to stop this madness, but he gets a little too hot and either incinerates Spider-Man or Spidey escapes. Reed, noticing that there is no corpse, bets the latter and torches on the case. Peter goes incognito on the New York City subway and arrives at Norman's warehouse in Jersey City, and I'm wondering what kind of subway technology Peter brought back with himself from Rabin's dimension, right? I mean, okay, look, I get that he probably took the subway to the PATH train, but like, we don't see any of that here, and I'm making a joke. So before you transit nerds come after me on Twitter, I'm just being funny, or not, whatever. Anyway, there's also a shadowy, long-haired figure watching Peter and Norman as they do this whole thing. Peter gets to the warehouse, and Norman reveals a very futuristic spider suit, and then he drops some exposition about all the other tech Peter has been borrowing from superheroes. And Peter pushes Norman to send him now, despite a lack of testing. Some might call this mission Operation Warp Speed. Am I right? Thanks, Trump. Anyway, the equipment is rocking and rolling, and then we learn that the shadowy figure is actually Miss Marvel. And since this isn't a mafia movie, we have to guess that's how she ends up working for Oscorp rather than getting dumped into the ocean for witnessing an interdimensional crime. We get some really trippy art here from JRJR, and Rabin's face appears like he's Mufasa himself, and in his best James Earl Jones voice tells Peter, "You travel to your death. I slaughter you when you arrive." How was that, Dan? Was that a good Mufasa or
I think
Darth
it's probably
Vader?
best we keep going with this recap.
Okay, anyway, so Peter arrives, and he's standing over Paul and MJ with the Blade of Decay, and Paul looks like he's having a day, while MJ must be coming from an audition of First Blood given the bandana. It's really cool that she's still a working actress, even in other dimensions where time moves faster. Peter goes on the attack, and Rabin starts to taunt him, only to hear a small voice before getting impaled by his own blade. Paul mentions the kids, and Peter and MJ have a moment before MJ starts to turn around because he's been gone a long time. A lot has changed, and look, I'm sure nothing actually important happened here, Dan. Should we just end the recap and get into our review?
I mean, there's a strong case for doing just that, but maybe we should just actually say what's on the page.
All right, so Paul brings out the kids. Peter asks, "Who are they?" And MJ says, "They're my family." And everyone, everywhere, had a normal one. The end.